Hey there people, it's Waifu Belector again, and if you're into Apex or maybe just gaming in general, you may have heard about No Apex August. But if you haven't, No Apex August was and is, I guess, a planned boycott of Apex Legends where a whole bunch of disgruntled players would band together and not log into Apex for the entire month of August. I personally couldn't tell you what sparked this. I think maybe this is a reaction to just general balancing and gameplay issues, I guess. I have no idea what the grievances are. I also don't know how well this is going for the no Apexers. There seems to be a lot of people hyped for this latest season and just still enjoying the game, so I don't think this is a very successful movement, but you know, who knows, maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, here's what I want to talk about. I have not played Apex for the current month of August, but not because of some boycott, just because I haven't been playing it. In fact, I haven't played Apex for maybe around 2 months now or something like that. And over the past year or so, I've spent very little money on this game. I haven't even bought a battle pass for like the past 4 seasons or some shit. I'm saying all this because I do think that somewhere down the line, more recently than not, the air around the game shifted in a way that wasn't so favorable for the player. Or maybe it's all just in my head, but either way, in this video, I'm gonna try to get to the bottom of what I think is going on with Apex. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, listen, I've been playing Apex since the beginning. Literally downloaded it on the first day. Obviously, you know, you take breaks and stuff. I didn't play it every single day since it released, but I did see it change in the 1,000 or so odd hours I've played it. Some changes were good, some were bad, and everything in between. But one change that happened so gradually and so slowly, bit by bit, that people didn't even notice it, was how Apex and Respawn gradually became greedier and greedier. It shouldn't be all that surprising because this is an EA game. I mean, it's literally the publisher who launched Battlefront 2 as a pay-to-win mess and then had to dig what should have been an easy slam dunk out of the grave because of their greed. But Apex wasn't Battlefront. Apex did the opposite. It didn't launch with so much greedy, grindy energy attached to it, but in the 3 or so years it's been out, it kind of picked up those traits, I feel like. And I'm not saying the game used to be perfect or anything, it definitely wasn't. Yes, we're used to like $20 skins in games, but they were selling us $20 weapon skins. Like, dude, no one gives a fuck enough. Like, there's no one who plays this game that wants weapon skins as much as character skins, and yet they're the same price. You know, it's always been like that. So no, the game was never perfect, but I'd have to say the biggest documented example of their shift into greedy land were the changes made to the battle pass. If you've been playing Apex for a long time, you may remember how the battle passes used to be. You know, you'd play matches and you'd basically get XP based on your performance that went toward your profile level and your battle pass. So, you know, if you got 3rd place and 5 kills, you'd get more XP than if you just dropped and died. And it meant that doing better in matches was substantially beneficial to leveling up your battle pass, substantially being the key word. Now, that old system still exists within the new system, but it is extremely dampened. The new system is the mission-based star system. You're probably familiar with it. Basically, they give you a specific thing to do, and once you do it, you will be given a certain amount of stars for it, and it takes 10 stars for 1 battle pass level. Here's where the old system is put into the new one. For every 5,000 XP you get, they will give you 1 star. But the thing is, the XP is not so handsy-outsy. You will not be grinding out battle pass levels quickly this way. It's not gonna happen. Respawn knows that, but the goal was to make sure your performance didn't mean absolutely nothing, while at the same time making it inconsequential. I know, a distinction without a difference. But why make this change? Why did Respawn do this? Well, you see, these missions that reward stars roll out at Respawn's pace. There are daily missions and weekly missions. In the old system, you are in control of how fast or slow you complete the battle pass because it's entirely based on how much you play and how well you do. In the new system, the current system, those factors account for a very small part of leveling. The only way to actually progress is when Respawn says you can, a la providing you with new missions. And the reason they want to control how long the battle pass lasts for you is to control your perception of how much content is in it. And I know what you're thinking, they aren't the first and or only ones to adopt a mission-based progression system, but the thing here is, the game wasn't always like that. They reeled you in with something fair and fun, then took it away and replaced it with something worse once you were invested in the ecosystem, which to me comes off a little shittier than if the game had just released in this state. Another more subjective bit about the battle pass, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like at some point they started purposely filling those things with shit no one wants. I mean, the battle pass is brimming with character dialogue quips and banner frames. And yes, there's always 2 legendary skins in it, and maybe I'm being conspiracy man here, but I think they make sure those skins aren't that good so they can hold the good ones for collection events and charge you like $20 or whatever those skins cost. Not to mention, if you don't buy the premium track on the battle pass, pretty much all you unlock are trackers you can display that say how many kills or whatever you've gotten this season. I know it's pretty run of the mill for any non-premium battle pass track to give you garbage, but Jesus Christ. Then they had the brass balls to put stat trackers in the premium track. Like, come on, dude, really? If you don't want me to have anything, just say it. But like I said, that's all subjective. Maybe people are playing this going, oh, holy shit, I need that quip in the battle pass. Oh, it's so quippy. Holy fuck, so clever. My character's gotta say that. You know, maybe getting to level 97 so that you can display your season 14 wins with Fuse is a good deal. I don't know, man. But aside from that, even smaller stuff got enjoyment nerfed. Remember when they introduced the treasure packs as a way to get you to log in every day? And if you had enough of them, you'd unlock a page to a little comic that was being doled out to you on a weekly basis. But then at some point, the comics just stopped and they replaced it with just plainly typed out dialogue and leaving the setting up to your imagination, I guess. Just once again, replacing something with a shittier version, small though it may be. But beyond that, let's look at the content. It feels like the gaps between substantial content drops are only getting wider, with the exception of collection events because those are designed to bleed money out of us, so we gotta keep those on track, and the new legends stay on track because that's the bread and butter and we wouldn't tolerate if it stopped. But things like limited time modes, new weapons, substantial map changes, or just new maps are way less frequent than in years past, it seems like. And I don't think it's for any other reason than Respawn thinking to themselves, let's see how little we can give them without them leaving. That's really what all of this is. It's Respawn and EA seeing what they can get away with, and it turns out it's a lot. If you've been following this game for a while like I have, you've literally been watching it slowly become more and more predatory, in my opinion. And I'm not even sure we've hit Apex Predator yet, to put it in the game's terminology. And I just touched a little on the collection events, but those are structured horribly. With the whole heirloom prestige skin thing at the end where they try to psychologically bully you into spending hundreds of dollars, those events are terribly structured, dude. It's borderline offensive, seriously. As are the existence of loot boxes in this game and the long-standing strong-arm tactics to get you to gamble on loot boxes. The most obvious tactic being not allowing you to directly purchase anything unless it's in their slowly rotating rotating store with a very limited selection, or if it's in their very expensive collection event. Basically, if it's not on a timer, you can't buy it, unless it's a gamble box, loot box. And listen, some of these problems have been here for a long time, but piling new problems on top of them makes the old problems that much more unbearable. Like, for example, here's an old problem that I used to just put up with. The fake depth that Apex has always employed. Let me explain it. We're all used to balancing patches and changes that shake up the meta and try to adjust to new features in the game. That's all regular. But what's the point of these changes? To reach a point of fairness and balance, right? Well, in a fighting game, that can be hard with a minimum of 15 characters who all boast a range of unique abilities and combo potential and things of the like. Specials and combos are usually in the double digits per character. It can be very tough to get right. Balancing can be hard in a MOBA title like League or Smite, with hundreds of characters that each have a unique 4 or 5 abilities and multiple item slots with hundreds of items that can be stacked on top of any champion in any number of ways. Some might say it's impossible to perfectly balance that, and they'd be right. Which is why you always get changes. The meta's always changing. It's not possible to balance it, so let's just keep mixing it up. But Apex, I was here when Apex had 10 legends, 9 legends, 8 legends with 3 mild abilities apiece, 20 weapons available to anybody and everybody that drop at random. That is very manageable. Even now with 22 legends or whatever, 29 weapons or some shit, it's still not impossible to balance. It's possible. And a lot of it is obvious. So why have we always gotten, since the beginning, we've always gotten constant balancing updates and shakeups to the Apex meta? It was to make you think the game was deeper than it was. It was never about balancing anything. It was about pointlessly shifting the stats on shit and calling it content. It was fine before. I could just let it slide and just laugh it off when they respected me a little bit more. But now that the game is what it is, you want to talk about balance? Why has Gibraltar had a better version of Bangalore's ult since the game dropped? You have 2 characters with the same ult, except one sucks. Who's ever been hit by Bangalore's ult? That shit gives you a New Year's Eve countdown to get out of the way. Are you kidding me? Her ultimate's essentially a scare tactic. And real quick, since I'm already talking about Bangalore, she's been in the game since it launched. Why is her tactical still ass? Smoke? That's it? Oh, well, surely she can see through the smoke, but her opponents can't. Maybe it pings enemies within the smoke. No, there's none of that. She's just as blind as anyone else inside of her own smoke. Like, where is the logic? That is a terrible ability, especially when compared to some other characters. As long as Bangalore's kit remains as it is, don't talk to me about this game wanting any sort of balance. Respawn literally just does shit for the sake of doing it. Bangalore's running around with 2 garbage abilities and an okay passive. Meanwhile, they just go ahead and drop somebody like Valkyrie in the game who just straight up has 4 abilities. She can fly, that's an ability. Shoot missiles, that's 2. Her ult, which launches her into the sky, that's 3. And she has a passive ability that pings enemies for her when she's in the sky. And hold on, I know what you're thinking. No, that's part of her ult, and the flying is her passive. But that's not true. First of all, you have to activate her flight. It doesn't just happen. It's not passive. She can jump just like anybody else, but she can also fly if you manually activate it. That is not a passive. And the reason why the air scanning thing isn't part of her ult is because it happens whenever she launches from anything. It doesn't have to be her ult. If you launch from the ship at the beginning or jump off a jump tower or a geyser mid-game, those scans are going off. And they go off passively. That is her real passive ability. So yes, Apex released a character with 4 abilities while others are woefully underarmed. This game has never wanted balance, okay? Okay. But at the end of the day though, My point is that I don't think I'm crazy. I don't think I just got turned off by Apex out of nowhere. I think that Apex has turned into a money-hungry shell of itself that doesn't value the happiness of the player, only what's in the player's wallet. And I don't think this was always the plot when they were making this game. I think it was just a surprise drop and they wanted to make a good game, and then it just kind of turned into this because EA probably has too much of a hand in what's going on here. So it's sad and it's unfortunate that it probably won't ever change because they have no incentive to change it. But you know, this isn't me telling you to participate in No Apex August. I don't give a shit about that. The No Apexers complaints and my complaints can be completely different. I have no idea. I'm not boycotting. I've just been playing shit that feels better to play. I'm not against playing Apex. I just think for me, there's better shit to play right now. And definitely better stuff to spend money on. Games that feel like the people making it still give a shit. Whether they do or don't, I can't say, but it feels like it. So I just thought I'd give my thoughts on Apex in its current state. It's still at its core mechanically a good game, but when a dev or a publisher or whoever does everything in their power to disrespect you and show you they don't care, you know, eventually you gotta take them for what they're showing you. Or at least that's what I think. But feel free to tell me what you think. Tell me how stupid and wrong I am and call me all sorts of horrible names. All that's cool. But until next time, I am Waifu Belector. I am just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I hope you all have fun on Apex. Goodbye.